Cape Fear Business Roundtable is sponsored by two branding partners located under one roof right here in southeastern North Carolina. Pioneer Strategies is a strategic communication firm focused on helping you build success through effective strategic communication. Pioneer Specialties is your promotional products partner, ready to help you through the entire process from product research through product delivery. For more information about our sponsors, visit capefearbusiness.com.
Welcome to Cape Fear Business Roundtable. I'm your host, Frank Williams, and our guest today is Karen Sphar. Karen, thank you for being with us.
Frank, thank you for having me.
And Karen is the Executive Vice President of the Southport-Oak Island Chamber of Commerce. And before we dive into business, I like to ask a few personal questions. And one of them, your answer will be a little different than a lot of people because it's, are you from here? And if you're not from here, how did you get here? A lot of the people I ask that just got here, and you're not from here. You said a minute ago, but you've been here a while. So tell us where you are from and how you wound up in Brunswick County and how long you've been here.
Well, I was raised in Southington, Ohio, which is up in the northeast part of up near Cleveland area. And I was, let's see, I went there till I was probably 20s, and then I moved down here, and I've been down here since 1987. I moved with my parents, who actually we vacationed in the Outer Banks forever, and they decided when they got to the retirement age, they didn't quite want to be that remote because
Right.
back then the Outer Banks was remote. And so we found Southport-Oak Island from a brochure, interestingly enough, on the area up in the Outer Banks.
Interesting. So you were in one part of North Carolina and found a brochure on another part of North Carolina and
Mhm.
decided to come here instead of there.
Yes, yes.
And
And yeah. So
and obviously you've been with the Southport-Oak Island Chamber for a very long time. Tell us a little bit about your career path and your time with the chamber and how it led you to be, the person in charge of the chamber.
yeah, well, let's see. In 1987, we moved down, and I worked for the First Baptist Church of Oak Island for a little while. Reverend Poston was the minister there, and enjoyed my time there. But that wasn't my career field. My career field was more in the travel and tourism industry.
Right.
So someone had known that they were looking for somebody at the chamber at that time, and so I went over to the chamber in 1988 and worked there as the secretary, receptionist, bookkeeper for quite a few years. And in I think 1991, I was tapped as the executive vice president.
So you've been executive vice president since 1991. I mean, that's a long time in any one place for anybody. So that's impressive to be. But that also means you know everything there is to know about this part of the state and about the Southport Oak Island area. I'm guessing. And Next question is, and this one's going to be challenging for you as a chamber person because it probably needs to be every place that you could visit in your area. But is one of your or some of your favorite places to go there out or outside of work that you like to do in this part of the state?
Well, I love photography, so
Yeah, I've seen your
any
pictures.
park, any park. I love Brunswick Town, Port Anderson. I just any area like downtown in the yacht basin in Southport. I love the crab dock over on Oak Island. So yeah, I'm not going to get into the businesses, Frank. You're going to get me in trouble.
The answer is anything in the Southport Oak Island Chamber coverage area, correct?
Exactly. And if they're a
Assuming
member of
they're
the
a
chamber.
chamber member.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of the chamber, tell us a little bit about your chamber. Obviously, you've been there a long time, so they've had stable leadership for since 1991 because that's how long you've been there. But tell us about the area you serve and what kind of things your chamber does, and tell us about who your members are and just anything else we need to know about what you guys do to promote the business community.
Sure. We are celebrated our 50th anniversary as a Chamber of Commerce in 2026. So our
And
fiscal
that's a
year
great
kind of
milestone.
it is a great milestone, and there's been a lot of great people along the way. Um, that have supported the chamber and done a lot of great things for the community as a whole. But we're like most chambers. We have a focus on the business community. That's where our focus is. We do the networking functions like the business networking after hours, the business connections, the coffee with the girls, those kinds of things. But there's also so much more to a chamber than networking. We look at how do we support a startup business
Right.
and our partners that we work with, like the Small Business Center at BCC or the SBTGC up in Wilmington. It's how do you support the business community as a whole? We do a lot of things for promoting the businesses through our website and other things. We have functions like our Coastal Consumer Show and the Health, Fitness, and Wellness Show and the Home and Lifestyle Show, and we have a fashion show, but they're all business centric. And that's what we have tried to really kind of put a focus on. Um, Earlier in my career, the chamber had a lot of events that we did, and that was great, but it took a lot. It was promoting people to come here,
Right.
but it was hard for the business community to see how that made a connection to them. So a few years back, we reorganized and really put it on creating those business opportunities.
And the way I see it, you've got for the businesses, you've got two different kinds of events, is the way I would look at it. One is networking, and those would be business people meeting other business people. So, talk about a little more detail about the business connections and the after hours and what those look like. If somebody is not a chamber member and they joined and went to those events, what would their experience be like?
We kind of pride ourselves on it being a very welcoming kind of an atmosphere. Uh, Business networking after hours, I always equate it to being a very more social. You
Right,
come with business cards, but they're usually in your back pocket, and you just strike up a conversation and get to know people one on one. And they're really designed for just a little snack and a drink
right.
and making that really kind of a personal connection. The coffee with the girls is kind of a little different. It's with the girls, so guys are invited if they'd like to come. And it's a little more structured. They have a speaker every other month, and it might be like this coming month, we're going to have someone on a tango. So they're going to learn about the tango.
Interesting.
But it might have been like a couple months ago, we learned about Dozier Memorial Hospital a little
Right.
bit. So there's just different topics that they hit on. And then every other month there's no speaker and they just, they bubble up with whatever's on their mind. It might be a pet peeve that they've got going. Those are always fun to
I
listen
can
to.
imagine. I can imagine.
But business connections, we've been doing it probably the longest in Brunswick County. And that is a very structured, Lucinda Arnold and Craig Moore brought the idea to the chamber. And that's another thing that we find a lot of the ideas come out of the members. And we want to respond to the members as much as we can to make them happen. And they brought this idea of a more structured um, referral group. And we have been doing it ever since. And it's really quite productive because you come in and you get to introduce yourself to a group of 30 plus people. They're all fellow business owners. And then they have a speaker, and then they go back around and tell the speaker how good they did, or they forgot something earlier and they wanted to get it out.
Right.
But they track the amount of business that they pass between each other. And at the end of the year, we know how much business it might be 500,000, it might be $1 million, depending on the year. And so, it's a very structured, very it it's trackable.
Right.
Yeah.
Measurable. And
Yeah.
I've been to those, and I've certainly know that the business transacted totals have been very impressive from year to year, and that's, as if you're a business owner, that's why you're there is to generate business and build relationships, and so those are your more business to business. You mentioned the Coastal Consumer Showcase, and obviously to me, the name of that's self-explanatory. That's to help your businesses connect with consumers who might want to come and learn, shop local. So talk about that event and what other events you have that are more open to the public to come meet business people and when they are and how people watching this could find out about those.
Well, everything's gonna be on our website, which is southport-oakisland.com. So when we get something up, we get it right up on the website calendar. But we start out in February for the Coastal Consumer Show, and that show is in the St. James Community Center. That is, again, that's business to consumer, and it's a variety of businesses. So it's not just one segment of the economy. But we fill that show every year with businesses, and it has a really great attendance. So the consumers are responding to it and coming in and finding out a little bit about all the businesses that are there. A lot of positive responses from the business community as well as the consumers that come. And that's a free show for the consumer, the resident, visitor, whoever that wants to come and learn about the businesses. And then in March, this year we're going to switch it up. We're going to do our fashion show in March, and that focuses on all of our boutiques. So the fashion show is just what it says. It's a fashion show, and we have a lot of little boutiques in our area that have everything from jewelry to shoes to
Right.
clothing, anything you could think of, including some of our thrift shops have participated in that.
Hmm.
And it's really kind of fascinating to see the different types of clothing that they do offer. And then we run into in April this year, we're going to do the health, fitness, and beauty show. And that's focused on all the industry in our area that has any kind of product in health, beauty, or fitness. And that one is again at the St. James Community Center. It's free for the consumer to come find out about those products because as we age, we all need different things, and we have a lot of products that are for just the younger families as well. So it's just a variety of age group in there. But as I hate to say it, as you age, you get a little bit more creaky, and you need, need some
Yeah.
products.
Sometimes I think I need WD-40 for my knees, but I don't know that that would be available there.
Well, I don't know. They might have something else
Something
though.
similar, yeah. Different name for it.
Yeah. But we do some seminars with that one so that we pick topics that we think people are interested in on that. And again, that's a free show for the residents to come and attend.
I
And then
think
in November, we do our Coastal Home and Lifestyle Show, and that's everything from outdoor fitness to home remodeling, any of those kind of businesses.
so. Lots of different things where people could come find out about the businesses that are right here in their community. And I hear people say, "Well, I need to find somebody who does this or does that," and they're right here, and the chamber can direct you to those people if they'll use the chamber as a resource. And so I think it's good that you're doing both the networking side and the business to consumer side. What is there anything else that the chamber does that you think people need to know about? Any big events that you either are involved in or that are chamber events or any other programs that you'd want to share?
Our biggest public event is the U.S. Open King Mackerel Tournament, and that particular tournament is the largest king mackerel tournament on the East Coast. Um, or at least some years, there's one in Florida that might be a little bigger, but we usually get them when we have good weather. That one, we estimate the economic impact for that one at over $2 million for our local economy. We will have anywhere between 400 to 500 plus boats in the tournament, and it's the best in-water boat show you will ever see
Hmm.
because you can come down and watch the weigh-ins and watch the boats come by and offload their catch for the day, and just some of the boats are just phenomenally like they're gorgeous. And then you've got the smaller boats that are just like you could have a John boat right next to a triple engine boat, and they all have the same chance that time of year to
Right.
catch the big king.
Just hope it's not so big it tips the small boat over.
No,
Yeah,
that's a wake problem.
exactly. Well, obviously, you've been with the chamber for a long time. So that must mean you enjoy what you do because I'm sure you could have had many other jobs during that time. So what do you love about what you do at the chamber and about working in this community?
I do love the chamber, and, along the way, I've had a lot of mentors that have really just taken me under their wing and told me when I'm doing something stupid, and
That's important to have.
that's so important, and have been so gracious when I have done something that was probably not advisable, and, and then just praised when something turned out well. So it's the people that I get to work with on a daily basis. I mean, they are really just phenomenal. Business owners in general, they have such a giving spirit
Right.
to them.
Well, you mentioned mentors. It's much better to get that feedback from somebody who's got your best interest at heart than from somebody who wants to use it to harm you because you didn't listen to the person up front that wanted to help you. And so I think that's a good segue into the next couple of questions, which is what we'll start to close it out with here. But I always love for people to get some advice or something they can take with them. So tell us something you've learned during the course of your career that you wish you'd known on day one when you started.
I think basically the ability, eh, mainly just learning how to listen. I mean, it's a skill that you
It
learn
is.
over the years. And and I wished I'd had a better listening skill when I first started as I do now.
It's definitely a skill that sometimes has to be practiced because I saw a quote that said, "We don't communicate, we just take turns talking." And I think, I think all of us are guilty of that to a degree, but if you can be intentional about listening, the best salesman I ever worked with was a guy. I was in the insurance business 30 years ago, and this guy was anything but your stereotypical salesperson. He hardly ever said anything, but he knew everything about his client. And he did only high-end estate planning life insurance, and he, if my recollection is correct, and this was 30 years ago, missed the annual company meeting that you were not allowed to miss because he was picking up a, premium check that had 100 and some $1,000 commission. That tells you
Wow,
that was a big check. Um,
that was a big check.
yeah, and that's the kinda client he dealt with, and he was able to do that level of business because he listened 3 times more than he talked, and he knew everything about his clients, and, I learn a lot more listening to other people than I will myself.
Mhm. And
And,
they'll tell you what they want, if
yes,
you just listen to 'em. And I think that's my
and listening, like, that's one of the things I enjoy about doing these podcasts is learning about all the people I talk with because you find things that surprise you, you learn how people have what their philosophies are, and every one of them has something that I can take with me to that I can use and make myself better as well. Well, a similar question, if somebody came to you and they were right out of college and said, "I'd like to be in the chamber world and work in the chamber world," what advice would you give that person starting out?
well, get ready to work hard. I don't know one chamber director that doesn't work hard
Amen.
and work over their 40 hours a week or whatever it is. I mean, it's not a 9 to 5 job, so
No.
get ready. Um, put the time in. It's well worth it. Just seeing how you impact others as they prosper in their business or those that maybe aren't prospering and just giving them a an ear to offload, because a lot of people put a lot of heart and soul
Right.
into their businesses, and most anybody that's an entrepreneur does. And when they're doing well, that's great, but when they fail, you need to be there for them as
Right.
well.
Yeah, and the only people who have not had any sort of failure in business are the ones who've never been in business. I mean, every business person has good days and bad days, and being there for them when they're down to help them pop back up, I think is so critical. So I think that's certainly, but yeah, it's definitely not a 9 to 5 job. It's kind of like owning a business. I heard someone say that business owners get to work half days. They just have to pick which 12 hours.
That's true.
And
And you need a good car because it's gotta have enough room in it to pack everything that you
yes,
need for any event that you're doing.
that makes sense. It's like a portable event supply store.
Yeah. Mhm.
That makes perfect sense. And obviously, you mentioned the impact of helping those business owners. Let's talk a little bit about that. What kind of impact do you feel the chamber has in terms of promoting the business community in the Southport Oak Island area?
I mean, I might be a little biased, but I think we're vital. Um, we're like a lifeline to some businesses, then and I've had so many businesses along the way that have used us when they first started up and just flourished and then dropped. And, and that's always disheartening a little bit.
Right.
But then again, it's okay. We should take pride in knowing that they feel like they've built a good business. But you never can stop
Right.
building a business. And
It's
that's,
an ongoing process.
yeah,
And it's like we're a member of several chambers, and some of them we don't get a lot of business out of, but I want to support the business community where I live. And
hmm
that's one of the reasons we're involved in some of them, even though the members are not necessarily our client base. But I just think it's important to give back. And I'd love to see a business community where businesses here can do business with other businesses here rather than having to go outside of the area. And that's part of that's building a business community. And I think that's so much of what the chamber does. And I know that's the case in Southport Oak Island because when I go to the events, it's like a family reunion almost. It's the
it
same.
is.
Yeah. It's a lot of the same people. There are always new people, but it's a group that knows each other and trusts each other because they've built that over time. And I'm biased, but I think the small businesses are or at least ought to be the backbone of our economy. And I spend extra money to buy eggs from somebody locally that has chickens as opposed to going to the store most of the time. And I'd rather buy them from that person because I know that I'm supporting someone local. So, I appreciate what you guys do. And I think it's a very, chambers are valuable organizations. And I think every business ought to join theirs, even if they don't think they're going to necessarily get business out of it.
Well, we appreciate you, Frank, for being a member and Pioneer Strategies and Pioneer Specialties. I'll give you both a plug because we have used you both and have found you very easy to work with and always gives great
Well,
customer
thank you.
service.
Thank you. We appreciate that, and we appreciate the business, and it's part of that as an association of members. You probably do business with your members as much as you
We do.
can, and we appreciate that. And it just occurred to me, Pioneer Strategies is 25 this year, so the chamber turned 25 the year we started.
That's crazy.
So it's
And
so it's
we do a lot of promoting of the excellence in our business community as well, through our Golden Pineapple
right,
Awards or our annual awards. We want to make sure that our residents and our visitors know that this area has some really phenomenal businesses that they should be patronizing. Or so, you don't have to go out of the area in order to fill whatever needs you need. There are some talented people in your own community.
right,
So shop at home.
100%. And the Golden Pineapple Awards, that's for customer service, correct? And I think
Correct.
that's so important to recognize because customer service is not the same art form that it used to be 20 years ago. It's different, and I think when it's there, we need to recognize it. And one thing about Southport Oak Island community, the businesses there are gonna be jammed up between Memorial Day and Labor Day with people who are here to visit. But the other 8 or 9 months of the year is when we really need to support our local business community because the tourists are gone.
Right.
And
Exactly.
well, to close this out, before we close it out, is there anything else you wanted to share about the chamber that we haven't talked about?
No, just know that if you're already a member, thank you. If you're interested in joining, please join us for at least two functions. You can kick the tires, as they say, at two functions and see if it's right for you. We are a welcoming chamber, and you'll see some of the same people there, but they're always happy to see you.
And I'll vouch for that. Having been a member for quite a while, it's a great chamber, and I would encourage anyone in the business community to join. And if you're just live here and aren't in a business, go to one of the consumer events and meet your local businesses so you can do business with them. But to close it out, I always like to ask, and you can answer whichever one of these you want to answer, either what you're currently reading, what kind of podcast you listen to, or if neither one of those fit right now, what kind of movies or TV shows you watch or like to enjoy.
Well, I love murder mystery on TV or anything, podcast, whatever it has. But, because I like photography, I listen to a lot of their, YouTube videos and
Okay.
things like, Matt Irwin or Simone Doldrumon or, Steve Perry. I always listen to those guys and get a few tips.
I always get interesting answers to that question. I had an economist who you probably know from UNCW, and I asked him that question, and his podcast were NBA basketball. Nothing at all to do with economics. It was to take his mind off of his work. And
That's it.
and some people do it all for work, and others it's the exact opposite. So I
Yeah.
always enjoy
And
hearing
the
what
hurr
people say to that.
yeah, the Hurricanes aren't playing right now, so, I
Right.
got nothing to hockey watch, so
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your time and appreciate everything you do. Karen Sphar with the Southport-Oak Island Chamber. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube or listening, we'll tag the Chamber's social media in our post, and we hope that you'll follow them and get plugged in. And thank you again.
thank you, Frank.